But I'm pissed off that white people aren't more mad. I'm mad that that too many of us are really sinking into the comforts of our created devices at home and not really awake.
In what society is that okay? All these Epstein dumbasses who are so goddamn concerned about child sex trafficking, who voted for Trump, who were so into it because they thought the Clintons were attached to it. This is what it looks like now. You're letting mass men snatch girls.
And I guess, Tiff, Angela, I've just decided this very moment, it is not enough to just return to a status quo. Anybody running for an office and talking about getting back to a sense of normalcy, screw you and the train you rode in on, the donkey you rode in on, because you are an ad.
I think ultimately what we have here, though, is a clear example, textbook example of gaslighting from that host of that show. With this black mayor, he's talking over him. I have never seen him do that to a white elected official, ever.
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeartRadio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. Welcome home, y'all. This is episode 94 of Native Land Pod, where we give you our breakdown and thoughts on all things politics with a little bit of culture sprinkled in there. We are your hosts, Tiffany Cross, Angela Rye, and I'm Andrew Gillum. What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Hello, hello.
Hello. I understand that we got a packed show today, so we will not belabor in any way, shape, or form other than to say that InvestFest was kind of cool. And
it was dope.
Maybe you get y'all to reflect on that a moment. But what are we talking about otherwise?
Well, there's a lot going on in the country right now. As you all know, we are right upon the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And we have a very special guest today to talk to us about the lessons learned, if any, by this country, especially as they're talking about getting rid of FEMA. That man is none other than the legendary General Russell Honore. So I'm thrilled to be talking with him today.
Yeah, I'll join you in that. Tiffany, what you got on your mind?
You know, I'm coming to you from the nation's capital, and this week the president announced that he would be taking over Union Station, which is home to Amtrak, a food court, and several retail outlets there. So I want to dig into what's happening here on the ground.
Yeah, so wild. And we've, of course, been observing all the videos that citizen reporters have been taking of their experiences under dystopian, I want to say gangster-led takeover of an American city. And I just want to add to the conversation that we should warn the next city that is on his radar, the city of Chicago. And we'll take a look at what the mayor and his team there are doing in preparation for, and what words of advice he has for anyone who is really, truly interested in bringing down the crime rate, not only in his city, but across the nation. So we got a full deck on hand, y'all. Did I miss anything, or we good with those topics?
If we don't get to it, at least in the mini pod, we should talk about Donald Trump's obsession. At least it appears to be an obsession with black women and attacking them. Sure. Lisa Cook is one of them, the only black woman on the board of the Federal Reserve, and he is going after her. We should talk about that and why, Absolutely. And if he has any recourse at all.
Absolutely. So let's get into it.
What's up, Native Land Pod? I'm Kay. I'm calling in from the great state of Georgia. And my question is about how to go about establishing a municipal town. I'd like to see a city where the police force is private. And I feel like that's really the only way to ensure our protection as Black people. I'd like to have to be a part of a community that is self-sufficient, self-reliant, has its own food source, community healers, and to, be able to build in an era of Reconstruction, totally independent of the government and the systems that are really destructive. So I'd love to get your thoughts on how to establish your town, and if I'm successful, Andrew Gillum, will you be the mayor? Thanks.
Not a chance.
I I love that
Actually,
question.
I was about to volunteer Tiffany, and you and Tiffany will be co-mayors of this said resilient town. What you say?
I love that question, and literally as she was speaking, she took the words out of my mouth because I was like, Andrew could be the mayor, but also I have that same question. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for her, but I definitely have that question, and I love that innovative way of thinking.
I do too. I thought it was powerful. Angela, maybe between the two of us, we can figure it out. But I will say most cities in a state are chartered by their counties. The county government has jurisdiction of all municipality known as cities beneath it. And some places you have a county that is a county and a city all in itself. So there are no other subjugate cities. In my state of Florida, I think we may only have two or three, and don't quote me, but a very de minimis number of cities are both the city and the county itself. In fact, Jacksonville, Duval County is one of those, which making it the largest city in the United States of America landmass-wise. I'm guessing that Georgia works very similarly, and I'll do some quick. I apologize, I didn't prep up on your question before. To our listener, but do some quick research to verify this. But I'm almost certain that citizens in a jurisdictional area can come together to petition the county that they live in to charter them as a city. That city then, once chartered by the county government, can operate as any city would. City services, municipal services. In some places, they have conditions by which you would have to contract with the county for certain services, but you basically get to operate like an autonomous city.
Wow.
Angela,
I think that's what just happened. Yeah, I think that's what just happened with East Baton Rouge last year, I believe. So, yes, but I like the question too. I think the thing that struck me, especially as we get ready for this conversation about DC, y'all, is people, especially those who look like us, who have felt this in their bodies, in some ways ancestrally, are just looking for relief. And you can almost hear that plea for relief, something that feels like safety, something that feels that it won't be threatened in her question. So my heart goes out to you, my friend.
Yeah, that's
and
real.
Definitely all in on whatever solutions we can come up with collectively. And if I was going to be in a bunker somewhere, it would be with these two. So I know we can help her figure it out.
Look, this is happening. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few weeks ago, this far right community, they were building this whites only community in this remote part of the Ozarks in northeastern Arkansas, with the possibility of even expanding into Missouri. And so I think they thought it was going to be controversial, that it was this whites only community, and all the Black people were like, bye. See you guys. Good luck. Like, I actually support this. Yes, go build your whites only community and stay the FUCK out of our communities. Like, it brings us relief and safety. If you are, an ethno-nationalist group, then by all means, stay amongst yourselves. My concern, though, I will tell you about, not her question, but about this solution, is we have tried that. We have done that.
Yes,
of course,
indeed.
people always go to Tulsa, but Tulsa was not the anomaly. It was the norm. Every time we created safety, those people in Tulsa weren't bothering anybody. In most of our communities, we weren't bothering anybody. And white people came along and violently destroyed it. And in the example of Tulsa, this will transition us to D.C., you had the example of the military turning on its own people. It was the Department of Justice even found it was so well coordinated that it was done with government officials, with Oklahoma's National Guard. They were a part of murdering thousands of residents, women, children. So I just wonder, is there relief for us here? Even if we constructed a city, how long before white folks came and destroyed it? Which I will say is why lately I have been feeling, just because of the life I've lived, I think I have lived a pretty fearless life. So far.
You got a lot of life left,
but
girl.
This is my point. I will leap without looking, because when you don't have a lot of stability and that's just the norm, like I'll move to DC. I don't know anybody in DC. I've never been there, but sure, I'll move, I'll start this job. I don't know if I could do it, but sure, I'll do it. And for the first time in my life, I feel fear. I really do. I feel fear. And when we were in Atlanta at InvestFest, shout out to Rashad and Troy, who host this event with I would say about 10,000 people were probably there.
My goodness.
20,000.
20,000. So we can technically say tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Talking to some of the people, even the hair and makeup team, but also the people there. As amazing as it was to see this curiosity around financial literacy, inside while we were on that stage, a part of me felt like, is this a little tone deaf that we're sitting here talking about building wealth while the country around us is falling? So we were able to merge those conversations a bit, and Reverend Jamal Harrison Bryant gave, I thought, some really insightful words around trying to merge those two thoughts, those two agendas. Because a federal takeover of D.C. is absolutely frightening, and I believe we may have sound that Angela found of what it's like for the residents here.
That's that pussy that locked me up, bro. Christopher! Get off me, bro! Fuck off of me, bro! Get off me, bro! Get off me! Get off of me, bro! Get off of me! Bro! Stop doing all that. Dog, get the fuck off. Here you go right here. Here you go right here. They need her name.
So for those of you who are listening and not watching, and even those of you who are watching, that was outside of Gallery Place Metro Station in D.C. There's a woman being arrested by transit police, but also the United States Park Police. And this is far outside of their jurisdiction, far outside of what they're trained to do. She was stopped for fare evasion. I don't know if you want to go back and count the number of officers who were involved in that altercation, but this was about fare evasion. She said that on her phone, she had proof that she paid the fare. They end up putting her into a police car. They search her bag. They take her phone out of her back pocket. And it's also they could find an ID. They start taking pictures of her ID. There's all of these challenges constitutionally with this stop, with this arrest. And I think what also is important is there are young people who are watching what's happening in D.C., and they actually are protesting as well. Let's take a look at this clip.
We are here today because young people deserve to be celebrated. Young people deserve to be loved, they deserve to be cared for, and they deserve to be recognized as the leaders that they are. Not the leaders of the future, but the leaders of today. I stand before you because DC is on us to support our young people. Today, tomorrow, and in every moment, ongoing. It's on us to show up for young people, talk with them, encourage them, make sure they have the information they need to make the decisions that are best for their well-being. Support our teachers, social workers, coaches, staff, all the workers who support young people day in and day out. And most of all, it is our obligation to be in solidarity with these young people, especially while they are being attacked. Listen to our young people. Hear how everything that is happening right now is affecting them. Hear their solutions, their brilliance, their power. I have the privilege today to introduce you.
I think that what's so important about this, y'all, is that young people are being impacted and traumatized by what they're seeing every single day. There's another young woman who went to arraignment court. You can imagine that given the number of frivolous arrests, I would argue frivolous, the arraignment court is backed up. So let's take a look at what this citizen says she saw in arraignment court.
135. 135. The number of people who were seen in D.C. arraignment court today. That's your initial appearance, the first time you see a judge. And in fact, arraignment court is still happening at approximately 10:26 p.m. They are locking people up for any and everything. 4 people were arrested yesterday for being in a public park. They arrested a barred attorney. We just saw him in arraignment court like 10 minutes ago. And this is what the judge said today, verbatim. I am forbidden from ruling on the Fourth Amendment violations. And this is very clearly a Fourth Amendment violation. Because I found probable cause, I have to hold you.
The attorney she referenced in that clip is Paul Bryant. He's a corporate attorney, a Black man who's worked in some firms in D.C. and also is a United States veteran.
As an officer of the D.C. Bar, that these officers are violating my civil rights under federal law, and I will be pressing charges on everyone who has physically touched me tonight, who has applied pressure to me in ways that I will not forget anytime soon. This is tragic. In a country where Black men are being killed by people that look just like this, I was sneered at, I was ignored, and I was not told why I was being detained.
What are the names of the two officers holding you right now?
This officer at Costello, he has his name blocked off. I do not know what it is, and I don't want to touch him for fear of my life. This is an FBI agent who I do not know.
Aren't they only allowed to hold you for 10 minutes without charging you?
They are trying to manufacture evidence. I do not have a magazine in my weapon because my magazine is in the trunk of my vehicle, which they would have known if they would have asked me. They did not ask me. My magazine is in the trunk. To the American people watching, this is what calling out a failed system looks like. Again, I was walking peacefully down this block, and I was accosted by 20, no less than 20 MPD, FBI, ATF agents and officers. I am not crazy. I am totally sane. I have complied with all of these officers' requests, and 30 minutes after being detained, I remain detained and not able to go. I do not know what charges. I do not know why I'm being detained. I was given no information. No officers are offering me any type of credence, no type of respite, nothing. Simply stand here, you nigger, and be handcuffed while we wait to find magazines that do not exist, or we will find one for you. I assume that is the case.
So I wanted to just bring that to you all. In part, again, as Tiff said, she's living there. She's having to bear witness to this. There are organizations that I just want to acknowledge, Free DC, Harriet's Dream, who are doing the work of organizing our young people, providing safe spaces for them to get around. Same thing with our elders. This is a really scary time. And I think the worst thing is we have always been taught, especially as an attorney, I've always been taught that when an officer violates the law, you will always be able to lean up on the safety of justice in a courtroom. And to hear what that judge told them in arraignment court is just frankly scary. So I'm wondering what recourse we have other than the suggestion that was brought to us by our dear friend and family member who sent in the question earlier today.
It's like so first of all, young people, middle-aged people, all people alike, it's terrorizing to watch that.
Yeah.
Let alone be the subject of it. It's terrorizing to all of our psyches. Everybody who's in listening ear, who visually watch this, and God knows my heart goes out to the people who are experiencing it day in and day out. These guys are domestic terrorists. And what makes them terrorists? And in my opinion, what makes them traitors to the country and to the Constitution is the fact that we still have habeas rights in this country.
Yeah.
If you detain me as an American, you have to tell me why. We don't have the right in America to just snatch American citizens up with no explanation as to why and think we can get away with it. And I guess, Tiff, Angela, I've just decided this very moment, it is not enough to just return to a status quo. Anybody running for an office and talking about getting back to a sense of normalcy, screw you and the train you rode in on, the donkey you rode in on, because you are an ass. The status quo is not sufficient. We are off the rails here. We're off the rails. And what I will expect from whomever wants my vote for leadership is full accounting of what these last 4 years, these 4 years under Trump will have borne us. So if you are an attorney and you have flouted the legal system and just dismiss the instructions of a judge, wherever you are barred, the bar associations need to be working diligently to remove your license forever so that you can never again be an officer of the court. You cannot be trusted. If you are a government lawyer or a government official, you are skirting the law, you are skirting the Constitution, you are acting in submission to an individual, to a man, and not to the rule of law. You should be held accountable. While the court at the highest level may have said you cannot prosecute a sitting president or president of the United States, that does not apply to folks who work for that president of the United States. And I know that some people will say, well, how do we get into a tit for tat? We can't have a tit for... No. We're beyond that. If we allow the kinds of transgressions that we're seeing right now to go unpunished, to go unaccounted for, we're inviting the shit to happen again. And I've already had enough. And I haven't been the subject in one of those videos. We've been bearing witness from wherever we are around the country and trying to keep ourselves safe and protected. But this is out of control. And to your point, Angela, there are judges in the district who are saying you are violating rights. This is the most blatant and obvious violation of constitutional rights that I've ever seen. These are the words of judges.
Right.
You have grand juries who are refusing the prosecutor's request to bring indictments against many of these individuals. They're saying no. So on one hand, I'm glad that there are some forms of resistance, which are not really resistance at all. It's simply obeyance. It's obeisance to the Constitution and to the laws. But we got to applaud that where it's happening when the government is running roughshod over the rest of the country, and they have to be held to account. If you're running, you better say it. And moreover, when you win, you better do it. They all have to be held to account, or we're inviting this same kind of glimpse into totalitarianism for the future.
I don't know.
I saw Tiff.
Yeah, go ahead, Angela.
No, I was actually gonna bring you in. I was seeing your tears, and when either of you cry, like it takes everything in me not to cry too, and just witnessing your heartbreak and having to get up. I just wanted to know what came up for you, Tiff.
It's just sorry.
Yeah.
Andrew made me laugh a little bit when he said, screw you, when the donkey rode in on. Because you are an ass. I'm stealing it.
You're an ass.
But it's frightening. Don't include my ugly cry, because this is horrible. But it is so frightening what's happening here. And to see that man, it just feels like it's not a matter of if, but when. That is going to come for all of us. Okay, walking to the store yesterday. I got back from New York. Walking to the store yesterday, I saw two little Latino girls. And they were walking, and they were surrounded by agents. They weren't doing anything. They were just walking to the store. And 4 grown men were walking behind them. They looked like they were 13, 14. It's a Latino neighborhood, and it was flooded. Even plain clothes, they stand out. Even they're not in uniform. They're in plain clothes. And I have never personally felt that before. So I think about our ancestors, not even our ancestors, people who are still alive, what they went through in the 60s. It feels like we're going through that now. And there's a level of frustration for me. I did CNN this week, and this attorney, Arthur Aidala, was speaking about, but this makes things safer. And I was trying to explain to him, this makes who safer? Who are these people here to protect? And who are they there to protect the protected class from? People feel safer because they're not targeting white men. And so it's just frustrating because I don't know what to say or do to people who are waiting for this imaginary line. I was appalled at how many people I talked to in Atlanta, just random conversation, who were just like, oh, they ain't gonna do that shit in Atlanta. There's too many black folks. And I'm like, we ain't ready for the moment, y'all. Like, ain't too many people who square up against the United States government and live to tell about it. When I get off the train at Union Station to see tanks outside. And so now there's an official takeover, and it just feels like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I had hope. I'm like, this is just a moment. He's trying to flex his power and this will all go away. I don't know that I feel that way anymore. This feels like this is what's coming. And the stress and angst and anxiety of looking out your window everywhere, there's no relief. It is like caught in my throat. Like I can't relax. I can't breathe. Just walking here, walking to my office. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but I'm just thinking this is what our elders went through, that somebody could come terrorize your existence at any given moment. And it feels like, and if you're in Baltimore, Chicago, Oakland, anywhere, and you think that's what's happening over there, I'm telling you, it is coming soon to a city near you. So I have such anger towards these people, towards the people who are ignorant to it, towards the people who deny what's happening, towards the media outlets who won't show videos like that. That should be flooding the airwaves to show how it's violating our civil rights. Shame on anybody who has a platform and isn't insisting on showing those types of things. It's just frustrating. So I feel frustrated. I don't have my thoughts all together. I just feel frustrated and ashamed for feeling frightened.
I hope you don't feel shame, Tiff, and I want you to always feel safe, you know, in your true feelings. But like, the rawest emotion that we have, the ability to say that you're afraid is actually in and of itself courageous. It invites in the ability to be vulnerable. And this is absolutely frightening. Like we have a meeting next week for State of the People, and it's supposed to be in D.C. And I was struggling to figure out where could we go where there's no windows for folks to see in. Like there are the things that we're having to calculate right now are crazy. It's not even just simply a civil rights violation. It's not even just simply a human rights violation. It's not just simply a constitutional violation. It is a threat to the very form of safety that we rest up against when we go home and lay our heads on our pillows at night. It is an occupation is what it is.
That's right. That's right.
And so we have to call a thing, and we have to figure out what recourse we have and pray that somewhere, somehow, the highest court in the land will somehow find its integrity, will somehow find a backbone, because I don't know what other systems we have. If we can't rely upon that, y'all, you know the only other recourse is war.
I think that's where we're headed.
That's the only other, I think so too.
It is that, or it is us really getting so baked tired. We're like, and don't mistake my tears. And I imagine some of this is for Tiffany as well. I'm angry.
Yeah.
I'm really angry. I'm very angry at every level. I understand Jimmy Baldwin,
yes,
right? To be black in America, you know, wake up and what it's to live in a constant state of frustration. But I'm pissed off that white people aren't more mad. I'm mad that that too many of us are really sinking into the comforts of our created devices at home and not really awake to the fact that we don't have to wait for the president to declare a suspension of habeas corpus to know that he has suspended habeas corpus, our right to be told while we are detained, and is detaining people at random in their own interest, that there is conspiracy in our government to go after black elected officials and people in power. And I know we're going to get to this subject, but a conspiracy because just because the government has your information does not mean any department can access it. And it certainly doesn't mean any department of the government can access it and then use it against you. That is not legal in the United States. You still need a judge. You still need to be given permission to enter into our private records. And Angela, that's the question I have as we move into the topic around, you know, some of this mortgage stuff that we keep seeing pop up around black people in power who Trump has determined are a threat to him, the usage of government information to be weaponized against them in an effort to, one, undermine us, take our power away, take our position away, and relegate us not to second-class citizens, but to irrelevance is where they are. We are irrelevant is where they want us, of no consequence to them. And they think they can run roughshod over every rule, every law, every element of the Constitution. And I've never held so tightly to a document that didn't include me at its origins, right? But I'm holding tight to it now because it is ours. We have shaped it into being closer to the more perfect. And to see these people run over it like it never existed, and run over us like it never existed is crazy. So I'd love if you wouldn't mind just walking us into what I believe, again, may be a conspiracy within the government to target these individuals.
Okay, so as Tiff mentioned, there are a number of mayors, cities that are being targeted, I would suspect because they have Black mayors. And one of them was on a show recently. We're going to call out the nonsense on all the platforms. And so this one I want to go to. Because I'll let y'all be the judge.
Would you also like to get federal funding to help put 5,000 more cops on the street in Chicago? Would that help drive down crime?
Well, look, policing by itself is not the full strategy.
No, I understand that. You've talked about the other things you want, and I said those are good and important programs, but I'm asking also, would 5,000 more police officers on the street in Chicago be helpful to go along with all of those social programs that a lot of cities are engaging in and having success with?
Well, look, here's the best way I can put it, Joe, is that in the 90s when I was in high school, we had 3,000 more police officers and we had 900 people being murdered every single year in Chicago. It's just not policing alone. Of course, we want more detectives.
I know it's not policing alone, but I know it's not policing alone. You've told me everything else you want. I'm curious, and this does come down to an ideological difference between people. Do you believe that the streets of Chicago would be safer if there were more uniformed police officers on the streets of Chicago?
I believe the city of Chicago and cities across America would be safer if we actually had, affordable housing. Look,
okay,
I'm not saying that
that's not the question I asked. My question is, and I just need a yes or a no, do you believe the streets of Chicago would be safer if you got all of those other extraordinary programs put back into place, which do have a history of being successful, if that's complemented by having 5,000 more cops on the streets of Chicago?
I don't believe that we should narrow it down to just police officers, Joe, is what I'm saying. That is an antiquated approach. I'm saying we've invested in detectives.
Mr. Mayor, are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm agreeing with you that all of these other social programs are extraordinarily important. I just need a yes or a no, and then this will be the last time I ask. If you get all of those other social programs that 800 million that New York City does, Los Angeles, other people do with great success, would an additional 5,000 cops on the streets in Chicago help complement those programs to make Chicago safer?
Look, we are working hard to make sure that our police department is fully supported. I don't believe that just simply putting out an arbitrary number around police officers is the answer. What I'm saying is policing and affordable housing. It's policing and mental and behavioral health care services. It's policing and youth employment. It's a full package. Of course, we want to make sure that our police department is fully supported. That's why I've invested in our Detectives Bureau, because what we have seen in the city of Chicago, when we solve crime, it acts and serves as a deterrent.
So I want to tap in here for a moment. I know we are really triggering on all sides today. This show should just be called Triggered.
Triggered.
I got a word that rhymes with it, but I'm gonna leave it alone right there. So my God. So I wanted to do that for two reasons. One, what is not helpful in this moment is to be trying to back somebody's ass up against the wall on what you think is going to keep us safe. There are cops literally swarming D.C. right now, and people are not safe. And we are not saved, as Derek Bell would say. Like, this is one of those moments where we have to be honest about what is. More law enforcement on the streets does not make safety for Black people. It just doesn't. There is data to support it. We don't have time to get into it, but that is ridiculous. I'm also frustrated.
Or anybody.
Or anybody. But maybe somebody. It just ain't us.
The numbers that you hit the numbers, Angela. You're right. It doesn't make it safer for anybody.
I think ultimately what we have here, though, is a clear example, textbook example of gaslighting from that host of that show with this black mayor. He's talking over him. I have never seen him do that to a white elected official, ever. And the fact that he would challenge him on these terms when we know what's happening in D.C. right now, when we know why Donald Trump is targeting them, it is absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely disrespectful, and there should be some statement from the network that apologizes to Brandon Johnson for what happened on the air. It is absolutely ridiculous. I also just want to say this. I want for the mayors, especially, because in a lot of ways, you all are the front line. In a lot of ways, y'all are our last hope. Maybe with the governors and attorney generals too, those who are willing. But I want you to lean into what it means to trust in a system that is supposed to work. I want you to challenge hosts. I want you to use your press conferences to absolutely talk about how the system is supposed to work, what the protections are supposed to be. And I'm saying supposed to because we know that they never were designed this way. And we're seeing just how fragile they were. So that's my only thing. I'll yield to y'all. But I wanted to play that because it just infuriated me to watch that.
I wish that Joe could have found the balls to address Donald Trump that way when he allowed him to phone into his show and helped him secure the nomination in 2016. I wish he could have found his nuts when he and his wife were at Mar-a-Lago. Bending the knee. So the temerity, but Joe does that a lot. He's done that to me before. He cannot handle addressing an intellectual superior, and it is white man rule. You know, I think that's the part that's so frustrating to me. He and his former employee, now wife, earn at least, I think, $16 million a year from that network. When I worked there, I would lap them in my ratings. I didn't make a fraction of that. When Joy worked there, she more than lapped them. She lapped them a few times in her ratings. I can say Joy did not make $16 million a year. So it's just insulting that they're celebrated. People think millions of folks watch that show. Sometimes they get 500,000 people, maybe. So if you're watching to hate watch, you're contributing to their ratings. Y'all got mad for a minute when it came out that they went to Mar-a-Lago, and slowly but surely people started creeping back in, watching it. Turn it off. Like, read something. Don't watch them. You even see Mika tapping him at a certain point, trying to encourage him to let the mayor speak. I just, look, I'm not mad at a tough interview and trying to force politicians to answer questions. They make a dance of it a lot. But I have not seen Joe in particular address any white politician that way. And can I just say really quickly, when I was on CNN this week, because I think it shows a pattern. When I was on CNN this week, I was on with two white men and Jamie Harrison. So Jamie Harrison is the former chair of the Democratic National Party, National Committee. And so every time, I forget the other guy's name, but every time it came time to say something, these two would attack me. They would attack what I said. They would attack my perspective. And they would say, oh, if a Democrat had done this, Tiffany would have fill in the blank. Or anything Trump does, Tiffany doesn't like. I just found it striking that I'm one, not a Democrat. Two, I'm sitting here with the chair, the former chair of the party, who happens to be around 6 feet tall, a black man, and presents like a 6 foot tall black man. But they felt more comfortable attacking me at every turn. And I'm fine. You want to bumble with the bee? Let's tangle. Like, I'm good going back and forth on an intellectual basis with anybody. But it just shows that same mentality that Joe had. I don't even think he would have spoken to him on set that way. I don't know. I feel ready to secede from the nation. I just don't know a path for safety here. I don't know a path for success here. And I'm telling you, I feel I don't know how to calm down. Like, it just is in my throat. And sometimes I'm in therapy. My therapist's like, where do you feel it? Right now, I feel it in my chest. I feel it in my throat. Everything feels so tight. Because literally right outside there's tyranny. There's authoritarianism. And I don't know. When you have people like Joe, who's, a flagship show for a dumbass network that has rebranded itself to be Fox News Light, I'm at a loss. I don't know.
Y'all, I share the frustration, obviously, over the disrespect shown the mayor. But my real deeper, if I were to pull back the layers, frustration is that Joe Scarborough used to be a policymaker. Mm-hmm. He used to be in Congress.
A Republican.
From the great state of Florida, right? He knows the layers. He would resist as an elected official any host's inclination to oversimplify something as complicated as crime fighting. So when I take into consideration that the man knows better, but yet decided to act intemperately with a sitting mayor of one of America's largest cities on a serious question, the mayor actually gave him it takes partly running a city to know this, but when he said, I will take more detectives, see, it wasn't Joe's question. He didn't answer Joe's questions about 5,000 more police officers, right? Which is to put him in a box, by the way. That was simply formed to put him in the 1990s soft on crime versus tough on crime box. That's what that was. We see you, bruh. And the mayor saw it in real time sitting there. But what the mayor said is, I would like more detectives. Why does he want more detectives? Because in most cities, most crimes that are reported are not closed out. They sit as having been reported, investigated, but not necessarily drawn to a successful conclusion, meaning you found who the perpetrators were, they were prosecuted, so on and so forth. The closeout rate, as is known in municipalities, sits probably in most places at less than 20%. Which means 80% of these crimes that are committed and reported go without ever being successfully resolved. Well, who would normally be responsible for resolving crimes that are reported? Detectives. Not the line officers necessarily, but detectives who go layers beneath to figure out a thing. That way, when you solve that crime, you catch the people who are the perpetrators, and then you get them off the street, or you teach the streets the lesson that if you can commit a crime, you will be found and you will be held to the standard of the law. But if 80% of the crimes that are committed are going unresolved, the lesson you're teaching people is you can commit it and get away with it. 8 times out of 10, you're going to be able to walk free, right? So the mayor had the right answer, which is, I'll take some more detectives. But he didn't want to fall into the box of tough on crime, soft on crime, 5,000 more officers, because he knows the brutality that comes with that. He knows what that means to his citizens. And I applaud him for being responsible. And I really hate that MSNBC or whatever they're called today would allow such disrespect on what is supposed to be a thoughtful show on their platform, that the mayor could not even express what would have been a thoughtful answer, but rather being chased around the damn table by Joe Scarborough to give him a punchline / a talking point / tough on crime, not tough on crime, a label that he wanted to be able to apply to the mayor, and the mayor resisted.
Well, I appreciate just taking that moment. I think on the point of attack, and Andrew, you brought this up already, we are continuing this trigger show with what is happening with Federal Reserve Board member Lisa Cook, and it's over 100+ year history. She's the only Black woman to serve on the Federal Reserve Board. A president under ordinary circumstances, where the law actually applies, has no authority whatsoever to fire a member of the Federal Reserve Board. And so I thought for a moment we could just talk about this. So Andrew, you raised it earlier. Do you want to weigh in here? Or do you want me to talk about?
Do you guys mind really quickly, because it's not common knowledge what the Fed?
Yes.
So
yes.
I think it's important to say first, the federal the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve is its official name, but it's commonly known as the Federal Reserve, and this is the main governing body that is charged with overseeing the Federal Reserve banks, which helps implement monetary policy. This is relevant right now because Donald Trump has been at war essentially with Jerome Powell, who is the chair of the Federal Reserve, because he wants him to adjust interest rates. Now, I'm not an economist, so I'm not going to get into the specifics of that. It might be great to have an economist on to do that. But I will tell you that there are economists who say, well, yes, you could adjust interest rates, and then maybe people's mortgages would go down, but the cost of homes would go up. So it's not a simple, easy solution. Lisa Cook was the first Black woman to serve in this position, and no one has ever been fired in the 111-year history of this body. So I just wanted to put that in context.
That's right. No, that's helpful. And to continue your example, who doesn't want low interest, right? Low interest rates on things. The problem is obviously the Fed Bank has to balance low interest rates without inspiring inflation. So if you get a lot of money, obviously circulating through the system, the price of goods and services has to go up. You can't have but so much money fluctuating, or the value of the dollar declines, not just here, but around the world. So in order for our money to have value, which is what the value of money is, we need to keep it strong. And so Fed policy was designed after the first and the second bank of the United States to be separate from the political whims, flows, and ebbs of a politician who is serving at a particular point in time. Any elected official will want to be able to say, I lowered your interest rates when I was president.
Right.
And then they won't be around to take responsibility for the inflation that comes afterwards. That ends up costing all of us a hell of a lot more money and devaluing the dollars that we work hard to earn. So in this case, the president or a whistleblower, I don't know how they want to describe this claim, but apparently someone within the government decided to write a letter saying or accusing the governor of mortgage fraud by contending that she has assigned her permanent residency to not just one but two homes. Now, you all may have heard this by now, but Ken Paxton down in Texas, the governor, was also
the Attorney General.
The Attorney General running for governor. The Attorney General of Texas, who's one of the favored candidates for governor of Texas, has also been accused of mortgage fraud by, I believe this was a newspaper maybe, for owning 3 residences that he determined were his main residences. Now, when it comes to the governor of the Fed Reserve, the Attorney General of New York, and I believe even Adam Schiff, possibly, I think was the third person that Trump has done this to. They have accused them all of mortgage fraud. Again, doing the same thing allegedly that Paxton has done, and assigned all 3 in those instances, those 3 instances that they make this claim, to the U.S. Attorney General, who, as you know, is better known as Trump's lapdog from Florida, who finds herself more often than not being the personal attorney to the president rather than the attorney for the people of the United States of America. He's made these referrals to them, and you can rest assured that Pam Bondi, within her power and scope, is going to do everything that she can to probably buttress that referral with possible prosecution of those individuals as a way of moving them out of Trump's way. And so where we are right now is, I'm just curious to know if this is mortgage information which is not publicly available, by and large, meaning you can't go to a website of the government and necessarily find out many of the details around this. Mm-hmm. And those details are then only available through the federal government and a database that they keep. How is it that the whistleblower, quote, or the staff person who is making this claim is able to do so without access to very sensitive government information?
Well, and I think that that's just it, right? So this referral was made by the Federal Housing Finance Agency Director, William Pulte, I believe is how you say it. I know you all have seen Pulte homes before. Yeah. In that family. No surprises there with the Trump administration. But they have the mortgage documents. This is the same thing that happened in the case with Marilyn Mosby. It is the same thing or a similar thing that has happened in the case with Tish James. And so what I think is important for us to also understand is, as a part of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, staffers have access to this information. So that I think we can close the loop there.
Except that it is still private, even if they have access.
Yes,
right?
but if you're trying to find a reason to prosecute someone criminally and you look into their mortgage history, even if you are a solution in search of a problem, that is where you would go, and that is how they got access to it. The referral literally came from FHFA. I do think it is important to note, especially given that this is clearly our trigger show, is that, hello, Andrew's phone, is that Lisa Cook is not just rolling over and accepting that she would be removed. Tiff, I know this has had to infuriate you this week. That's my other buzzword today. Trigger and infuriate. That they keep people on air are talking about this like he can fire her. Trump fires Lisa Cook. Trump removes Lisa Cook. He cannot do that. Now they say for cause. They have found a very tricky cause where it is arguable that the mortgage lenders that she has knows that she needed to split time. There are a number of people who split time in two residences because they work in two places. The homes were in Michigan, where she's a professor, and in Georgia, where she resides.
And also bears no responsibility on her job as a governor at the Fed Reserve.
No, but the point is, if she did something criminal, that is arguably for cause. But if you live in two places, I believe I would make this argument in good faith that you can have two principal residences.
Domiciles.
You know, if you spend more than half of your time in either location, it's people that work and try. Y'all know that basically our principal residence should be on the goddamn plane.
Right.
Like, I mean, this is so crazy that this is not called for what it is. This is a racist tactic by someone who is trafficked in racism, and he continues to target Black people. We should call it what it is. I appreciate the fact that Lisa Cook has said she is challenging this through her attorney. She plans to sue on whether or not he could actually remove her because there is no cause under the law. And I think that is the kind of conversation we need to be having. Not Trump is firing her. Not Trump is removing her. It's irresponsible.
Failure. Gross failure. The only thing I would say to that is, yes, he definitely targets Black people for sure. Lisa Cook joins the 300,000 plus Black women who have left, or not yet, but she would join the 300,000 plus Black women who have left the workforce. Andrew, you did a great job of pointing this out on this past week when we were in Atlanta at InvestFest. Part of targeting the federal government was exiting Black women out of employment. Right. He targeted agencies where the highest number of Black people were employed. So this is not something new. I would only add to that he is indiscriminate, as he's also targeting his political enemies. He has called for an investigation into former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who chaired his inaugural committee in 2016. And they had they had a bromance that only ended on January 6th, as if Donald Trump wasn't terrible on the 5th, 4th, and decades prior to that. He's also going after John Bolton. And we have seen
Comey.
I'm sorry?
Comey.
Oh.
Comey.
Yeah,
Jim Comey.
I just mean what's happening I don't know if something new happened with Comey this week.
No. You were right. I was just saying you're right. You were naming the people.
I'm just talking about what's happening.
You're going to be listing the whole episode.
I'm just talking about what's happening the recent past couple of weeks with John Bolton. And the reason for John Bolton is because he penned a book in 2020 that Trump was trying to stop. They had the unusual task of having him resubmit the manuscript for his book. So this is like a play right out of the dictator handbook. And the fact that we're not taking it seriously, the fact that we're still trying to both sides these things, that we're presenting information like it's a done deal. And Angela gave the great example, like Trump fires Lisa Cook. I mean, this is just journalism fails. And unfortunately, people are still looking to cable news for a lot of the information they get. And it's such an utter failure. It's such a gross, irresponsible move they're making. And even that, like I think I've run out of tears. But even that, looking at one, an industry that I had pursued and worked in since I was 15 years old. Two, looking at Black women and what we're going through collectively. Like we are so, and this is not leaving out Black men. I just mean Black women in this moment are so goddamn heartbroken. You know, like I don't even know how to function some days. I do. I put one foot in front of the next because that's all we know how to do. But it's like everywhere you look, there is no safety. There is no reprieve. And it is giving me a righteous anger. I have to make adjustments. You know, like I have to make adjustments in life around, you know, who I'm around, who I'm involved with. I was sitting on a train next to this older white man who was so pressed to make conversation with me. He was a Republican and he was just trying to talk to me. And I just wanted to say, shut the up talking to me. Okay? Racism with a smile is still some racism. Like, don't be looking to me to make you feel better about your dumbasses. Like, you're so pressed to make me, you know, we might have more in common than you think. And we're not supposed to say on this show, but I wanted to say, dude, you. Don't talk to me. I'm losing my sense of kindness and softness. And I think that's what we went through. My grandmother, like, she was a tough woman. And I think that's what she went through, going through different things in the South where you don't have the energy for that bullshit anymore. And that's where I am.
And we don't have to co-create their lives. So he'd be lying to himself if we can have differences over politics, but still be at risk of the same things and have the same cares and the same worries and the same ambitions and hopes. No, sir, I can't conspire in that. It's not true. Fundamentally, basically, open your eyes, see it, maybe believe me when I tell you what my experience is. It's just, it's insane. Y'all, this is part of what I mean by the accountability has to be in place. And I hope that left-leaning think tanks and y'all's action centers are really focused on who the perpetrators of these crimes are so that they can be held to account. I don't give a damn about your apology book in the fourth year of this term when you decide that you want to exit this administration for whatever reason so you can set yourself up for the next job and be invited back into polite society. There is none of that for you. I believe in redemption, but I don't have to redeem you. In fact, don't look to me to redeem you. There's a redeemer, and I'm not him. But I'm telling you this much: all these characters in this play are going to try to repurpose themselves at the right time to be, again, part of civil society and accepted as reasonable people. But they're unreasonable. Just as you mentioned, he was detestable on January 5th as he was on the 6th, as the 4th, as the 6th,
and we
as
tried
the
to
1st,
tell you.
as the 6th, right? They didn't need
and
to be told. They knew it.
Too. Why did we have to tell you and you didn't listen? And it's worse than any of us could have imagined.
Angela, it's not that they didn't listen.
They knew.
They didn't
care.
They knew.
They didn't care. Just like the people who said, I knew he was going to shrink the federal government, but I didn't think he was taking my job. Oh,
but I would still vote
when he was
for
taking
him.
mine.
But I would still vote for him. Angela, you say that white supremacy is nonpartisan. This is just an example. Iowa and New Hampshire are efforting to reshape the primary schedule again because they're like, hey, we want to be back at the top. We want to go first again. Iowa and New Hampshire, 93 and 94% white population, respectively. This is why I cannot, in good faith, get out here and talk about, you know, how dope Democrats are. I'm a Democratic voter. I'm not a spokesperson for the party. And I'm not going to swallow some bullshit. Right now, they have not met the moment in my idea. And even the fact that that it's a conversation that they're saying we want to go first again lets me know that they are tone deaf to what's happening. The party, it just seems to be in disarray. So I just, go ahead.
No. You can say I just, and then I'm a fan. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't even know. That's all I had to say.
I just agree with Tiff. I just agree with Tiff. And let me say this one thing.
Is a sentence.
You know what's even more frustrating? There have been some Democrats who are meeting the moment. They are Black women in their exhaustion, in their state of being triggered, in having to carry this country on their backs again. After having to nurse your badass babies, after having to be your nanny, your mammy, and your cook, after having to do everything else, we are still saving you from your dumbass selves. We tired. How about that? Like, I'm blown by this. I am so frustrated by the fact that we had to pull a whole tour together to get our people relief. And our people didn't vote this way. Like, I am crying now. I am so enraged all the time. Like, I am going to do the right thing because I don't want us to die, because we don't deserve what you've done. We don't deserve to reap the consequences. We didn't participate in getting here. Like, I don't want to talk.
And the tears are,
it's beyond. It's beyond. Like, I literally, you guys, I know, you guys just told me last week, don't be on the phone in this show. And I got a text in the show with somebody like, are you sure we can go to DC for this meeting? Like, it is maddening. And I'm mad about it. My mom, I should be able to just focus on my mom. Like, Tiff, I have this book deadline. I should be able to focus on finishing the book. I'm fighting myself because I have to argue that freedom is still our birthright, and we are so not free. Mm-hmm. Like, it is maddening right now. It really, really is. I don't know.
But this is how we
and my period for the tears. No, Jesus Christ.
But this is how we feel. I think so many people out there feel that way. And the tears are not sadness. You know, it is not, we are not sad.
Rage.
We are so enraged right now. And it's such a good point, Angela. It's like we're going through all of these things and our real lives are still happening. Angela's been very open about her mother's battle with cancer. That alone is enough to consume your entire being. And we don't even have the freedom to breathe in that space. It's so frustrating. So I just feel like in our moments of righteous anger, I'm just ready to fight. And I don't mean like fight like I want to write a policy paper. I don't mean like fight like I want to go protest. Like, I really mean like I wanted those two little girls who were flanked by 4 grown men. I wanted to yell at them, get the away from these kids and leave them alone. They had on their school uniforms. I didn't even realize school was back. They were walking home, these 4 grown men following them. In what society is that okay? All these Epstein dumbasses who are so goddamn concerned about child sex trafficking, who voted for Trump, who were so into it because they thought the Clintons were attached to it. This is what it looks like now. You're letting mass men snatch girls, parents off the street. And there's been so many reports of mass men pretending to be ICE so they can attempt to kidnap women. Just miss me with that bullshit. You don't really care about kids. It's just, it is beyond comprehension what we're going through. And I guess the shame I personally feel for having fear is because we didn't do this yet, but we were talking about doing this as a mini pod at some point, I think. Or maybe we did, I can't remember, but what price are you willing to pay? Yeah. And I just feel like we are all going to be tested right now. So for all the people who are not paying attention, who are scrolling on Instagram and TikTok and, talking about Taylor Swift's engagement and just bullshit. It's like, listen, you guys, it is on fire. Whatever invisible line you were waiting for him to cross, he has crossed it. So I love the viewer's question about, like, I get it. Where can we build safety? Where can we build towns? And I don't know where that is. But I'll tell you what I'm feeling right now. I want to get the out of here. Like, I can't stay in DC feeling like this every day. It is just not good for my spirit.
You have a room at my house, Tiff.
I keep wanting to come to Seattle because I've never been.
And what you're pointing out, Tiff, is the truth is any place.
Right.
So is there safe harbor
I don't know.
anywhere?
We're going to keep running.
And right now, within the boundaries of this place, given the lawlessness, and I think I know where you were going with, miss me with what you say you believe, and you protect children. What I know now, after having observed the first go round, and now this one, is that there is no faithful belief system on their side.
Right.
Those are lies. Those are the convenient lies we tell ourselves to get us past a thing. But it isn't true. And now that I know it's not true, my tolerance level for all the reasons you give for being for and against and holding the flag and protect law enforcement and fund all of that, it's a sham. Yeah. I just wish y'all would say it to yourselves. Just admit to yourselves, oh, I'm only really in this for the convenience, the political expedience of the matter. Like, I ride with this guy because he's going to do and say the things that I can't get away with doing and saying and keep my job. But he can do and say and keep his job. And yes, you get a little bit uncomfortable when the babies are on the television and they're crying and the separation. And you may have a moment of humanity. But in the recesses of your mind,
You're in complete solidarity with what the man is doing, because if you weren't, you wouldn't have put him back there in the first place. You cannot say, I don't think you can say it the first time, but you absolutely in this condition cannot say you didn't know. Everybody knew the second time they went to the ballot, to the polls, third time, I guess, on this guy, to the polls, you knew what you were getting. You knew. And you still invited it. You still sanctioned it. And through your silence, you're still co-conspiring in it. So y'all, in democracies, leaders get to govern with the consent of the people.
Yeah.
And at the point that we remove our consent, they're no longer our leaders. I'm not trying to be a violent rhetorical person, but I'm simply saying the American people have to wake up and demonstrate that this is not who we are, or you can consent through your silence and say, this is exactly who we are. And I'm okay with it.
What does that mean, though?
I'm
that
not
we're
okay
not,
with
Or
it.
there's a third option. There's a third option. This is who we are, and I'm not good with that. We gonna do something different. Yeah.
We're gonna do
there's
it different.
But it is who we are, or it is who they are, and we've had to succumb to it since 1619.
And unfortunately, through our obeisance, we then give shelter to it. And what I'm saying about, so for instance, in LA, they drove them out through their protests, an overwhelming number, a show of support, such to the point that law enforcement with guns more powerful than any that we can own privately had to rescind their line. They retreated their line. Thank you, Angela. Retreated their line. And the same has to be true. Chicago, you've got as much of a warning. My brother lives there. God knows I want for his safety more than anything. But we have to meet their force with our presence. Their presence must look like ants on a hill in comparison to us saying you are not welcomed here. And I get that many of these people are just average people who are being called into service and have to render themselves to the government when they say come. But what does disobeying a legal order look like? What does it mean for a person in law enforcement or in the uniform to say we cannot execute on an unjust or an illegal order?
What does that look like, honestly?
I want to know. In fact, I hope we get the guest that we hope to see in a few, because I want to ask, not to include him in what my conclusion may be here, but to say, what does it look like if you are obliged to not have to follow illegal and unjust orders? What does it look like to stand up and say, I'm sorry, man. That video that showed the black officer leaned against the car, he was embarrassed to be put on that video. The black officer next to the brother.
But that's what needs to happen. You need to be embarrassed.
But what does it mean to say, I am in law enforcement? And what this is not enforcing the law. In fact, we are acting in contradiction to it. What does it mean to do that in the moment?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. I know it's been a heavy show. And I really, at some level, hate it. Because it always just feels like everything's heavy. But on the other hand, you know what? We have to face reality with reality. This is the situation. This is what it is. And hopefully you hear our frustration and probably share in it, and also our hearts as they break for our community. Y'all, as we wrap this show up, I'd love to hear if you have any calls to actions for our listening fam as we close this out, reflect on Katrina this weekend, and our survival beyond that.
I'll just say my CTA is tell people what's going on, because when I was, like I said, in Atlanta, when I was trying to explain it to people, it was kind of a shoulder shrug, like they didn't really get it, and not everyone is plugged in, and that's like I'm a little disconnected from things just for my own sanity. But spread the word and take it seriously. Understand that this level of authoritarianism will not exist only in the Beltway. It will cast a dark shadow across the country. And democracy is something that has to be fought for and has to be defended. And we have our elders who are still alive who did that for us. And I can't tell you what actions to take because I don't know what's happening in everybody's jurisdiction. But at minimum, be aware, because you may be able to tell us an action that we need to take. And then find reputable outlets. So you say, well, where should I do? I hate the New York Times political coverage, but that's something. anything that is giving you reliable information about what is happening, what's going on, at least be aware and spread the word. Ignorance is not going to save us. That is the enemy right now.
That is the gospel truth.
Amen.
Mine is on the facts. We had a listener question come in, and I want to play this listener question with my response, which is a fact check.
Hey, good day, Native Land Pod. Come to you all today, not with a question, but more so like voicing my opinion and a little bit of frustration with Angela. This week, Angela did a mini pod with State Rep Nicole Collier, and I felt like she should have pushed back on her more when it came to the point of when the State Rep started talking about like-minded individuals, California and stuff like that. I'm paraphrasing, but she essentially said, Texas is going to go through their maps, but she feels okay knowing that California is going to come behind them with 5 redistrict seats for Democrats. And I think what was missed there is that Texas is going to redistrict out 2 black members that we probably will never get back. And whatever comes out of California is not guaranteed that we're going to get 2 black representatives back. More likely it won't happen. So I felt like we let Angela let her off the hook. And oftentimes I feel like we do that a lot with Democrats. We don't push on them enough, pressure them enough to get the results that we're looking for. So I had a little frustration that Angela didn't catch that, and then she didn't push back on her more on that. So I just wanted to come to you all with that one right there, because I thought the state rep was out of line when she said that.
And on that, we have 2 fact check moments from that interview. So let's roll the first one. Are you experiencing or feeling any regret at coming back home to face this kind of madness, I think, which is almost worse than what you all experienced leaving? And the second. So earlier you referenced the California maps, the fact that Governor Newsom has taken some action, and that was one of the precursors for some of you, at least, to return. What do you say to the people who say that's great for California, but what does that have to do with folks who need representation from Black and brown folks in Texas? How do you respond to that? Okay, so I actually agree with you, brother, and I raised those questions. I hope you will go back and listen. Maybe your point is that you don't think I pushed it hard enough. There are a lot of people who think I pushed too hard, and she was an American hero. And I actually do think that given everything that Nicole went through being back in Texas after deciding to go back to Texas, she certainly is a hero who stood her ground. Nonetheless, the Texas maps have passed, and nonetheless, California said that they gonna go for it and do something. California's demographics are a lot different than Texas, and so I don't think that it is a substitute to change one for the other and we're going to be all good. I don't think this is merely political gerrymandering. As we've talked about on this show, it is also racist. And so on that note, my call to action would be, please make sure to fact check. And we got 2 of these. Let's make sure we use them. I need to do a better job myself.
I definitely received the big point, though, because in Florida, we have eliminated the Black representation there. Right. And the same is obviously as a result of this in Texas. California, we know our CBC members are struggling each cycle, curious whether or not they will be returned because increasingly they're representing, yes, minority districts, but minority districts that are majority Latino.
That's right.
And while their coalition politics are different out there, I envy it in some ways. At some point, we know that there is going to be an intersection where we're going to go one way or another. And it's maddening, and this is my CTA. It's just maddening to see the work at erasure of us. It's like you want to f up our history, tell us that slavery was good for us, tell me that I got the skills that I got today because I was enslaved, chatteled, to kick all Black women out of the ability to provide for themselves and their family. That's the exact reason why they go after Black women, is because they know what it means to destroy the Black family. You take away the Black woman, you take away her ability to earn and to provide. Come on, man. Then that's our kids' futures. So and then now our representation, the effort at this, and I guess the CTA is we have to become awake, but also, y'all, we have to start taking names, numbers, because Trump won't be here forever. As much as he wants to be, I have faith that will not come to pass. And when folks when Democrats, the opposing party, do get in power, we have to learn the right lesson from this moment. Your pissant pushback has equaled nothing. And now we have to resort to tactics that are more effective. Not illegal, but that are effective and that hold these people to account for what they have done to us. If we fail to do that, we're inviting its repetition, period. So we thank you, all of my co-hosts, you all our listeners. Again, heavier episode, but you know what? We gotta take the tough cough syrup sometimes, the tough medicine sometimes, so that we can get our acts together. And as always, we want to remind everyone to leave us a review and subscribe to Native Land Pod. We're available, of course, as you know, on all podcast platforms, and of course YouTube, which we love. And if you're looking for more shows like ours, check out some of the other shows that are part of the Reason Choice Media family. Spolitics with Jamil Hill, Off the Cup with Essie Cup, and our newest addition, our good brother, little brother, as you know, Noah de Barrasso. And his show, of course, is Now You Know. I like that play on words. Be sure, of course, to give us a follow. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our text message and our email list where you can get rapid and important information about Native Land. And, of course, our email list at nativelandpod.com. We're your hosts, Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross, and I'm Andrew Gillum, y'all. Welcome home. There are 432 days until the midterm elections that we are all going to work to make sure do occur. Take care, y'all. We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you for sending in your questions and your comments. Keep doing that, please.
Yes.
Welcome home, y'all.
Welcome home.
Thank you for joining the natives. Intentional with the info on all of the latest. Rod, Gillum, and Cross connected to the statements that you leave on our socials. Thank you sincerely for the patience. Reason for your choice is clear. We're so grateful. Took the oath to execute roles. Yeah, faithful. Preserve, defend, and protect the truth, even if painful. Welcome home to all of the natives. We thank you.
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeartRadio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.